While I'm not an artist, I do have a great appreciation for art. And that can be paintings or wood carvings, stained glass or pottery. I especially enjoy my coffee from a uniquely created mug. But mugs made of pottery are also very delicate and fragile. This, in many ways, is a good reflection of our lives as Christians. Biblical scriptures tell us that we have treasure in jars of clay. Listen to this from 2 Corinthians chapter 4, beginning with verse 6. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," made his light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. This clay jar that he's speaking of is our earthly bodies. Our bodies, like clay jars, come in all shapes, colors, and sizes. And like jars, they're also limited, even fragile and breakable. This isn't to suggest that the body's worthless or even evil. God made us body and soul before sin came into the world. And Jesus took on a body and was bodily resurrected from the dead. We will enter the new heavens and the new earth with a glorified body. But in reverse, our bodies are not tools for fulfilling our own desires. We don't treat them as if they were meant to be made flawless, and neither do we violate our bodies and mistreat them. The Apostle Paul tells us that in our mortal bodies we have received a great treasure. When we were in a dark, sinful spiral downward, with no knowledge of God and no experience of his life, something happened. God's divine light of the gospel came beaming into our hearts, and he made us to understand that the brightness of his glory is seen in the face of Jesus Christ. So, we possess this precious treasure in frail, human, earthen vessels. Why? So that the grandeur and exceeding greatness of the power may be shown to be from God and not from ourselves. God is the one who has all-surpassing power, not us. He's the one who created all things from nothing, not us. He is the one who provided reconciliation. Has God's divine light of the gospel broken into your life and heart? God invites you to find your place in his story. Take time to consider the good that God intended for you at creation and what happened when it all went wrong with the fall of humanity. Reflect on what God has done in Jesus Christ to put things right. The life, death, and resurrection of Jesus reversed the sad human dilemma. In the end, there will be a restored world without evil. Is there anything that might hinder you from this treasure? Well, yes. Let's get back to 2 Corinthians and hear this. The God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. The God of this age is the enemy of our soul, Satan. He works to blind you from reconciliation with God. The serpent was more crafty than any wild animal that God had made, the Bible tells us in Genesis. The serpent said to the woman in the Garden of Eden, "You won't die. God knows that on the day you eat from it, you will see clearly, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." So the woman took some of its fruit and ate it, and also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it too. Satan is a liar and a deceiver. He is intent on your ruin. He is the one who led the world astray and he will lead you astray from receiving God's great treasure of reconciliation. So be clear-minded. Be alert. Your adversary, the devil, is on the prowl like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Don't allow the enemy of our soul to cause you to miss out on this treasure. He tries to make your mind a battlefield. His trickery is to convince you that God's truth is untrue, that it's out of date. And Satan lies to you that there's no God on one hand, or on the other hand, that you are a God. He does everything and anything he can to prevent you from discerning the truth and seeing the illuminating light of the gospel. And that brings us to our key spiritual insight. Though we live in fragile bodies of clay, God's all-surpassing power is at work in us through Christ. For now, these fragile bodies endure hardships. Things go wrong, and the wheels fall off of our lives. Some of us struggle with surpassed emotional wounds. Others of us with physical limitations that hinder an active life. But remember what Paul said. We are hard-pressed, crushed, perplexed, and persecuted. But we are not in despair, not abandoned, not destroyed. And that, my friend, are words of hope.